It's September 5th. You're back in the country where you glassed a bull all summer. Same big drainage. You can see a lot of country. Same elevation, same park he fed through every morning in July. But he's gone. Not just moved, completely gone, like he was never there. You spend a couple days covering ground looking for him. Meanwhile, a hunter 3 drainages over is calling in bulls he's never even scouted because he's found the cows. That's not luck. That's a completely different understanding of what September elk hunting actually is. This video is going to give you that understanding, and it starts in July, not September. A lot of elk hunters spend July and August focused on bulls. They find a bachelor group, glass them all summer, drop pins, get excited, and then show up in September to hunt a location that's been completely vacated. Bulls aren't there because the bulls were never going to stay there. Now, I think July scouting of bulls is a great time. It's a fun thing to do with family, and it's great practice, and you learn a lot about elk behavior. But September changes everything about where elk are and why, and the hunters who understand that shift are hunting a completely different game than everybody else. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the complete picture, what July scouting actually teaches you, how August signals the transition, and why finding cows is the best strategy for killing a September bull. I've been hunting and guiding elk in the western mountains for over 34 years. I've watched hunters invest weeks into summer scouting, locate great bulls, and show up in September to empty country. I've done it, confused about what went wrong. And I've watched other hunters and myself walk into a drainage on day one, find cows, and be in a shooting situation by the end of the morning. What separates those two hunters and scenarios can be one piece of knowledge. In September, the bulls are where the cows are. Once that clicks, everything about how you plan and scout becomes a lot more clear. Now, before we talk about why bulls leave, let's talk about why finding them in July is still worth your time, despite some of the negative folks out there who say that it's a waste, because it absolutely is worth your time, just not for the reasons a lot of elk hunters try to simplify it down. And think about it. When you locate a bachelor group in late July, you're not just finding bulls, you're learning how this specific piece of country is organized. You're learning which drainages hold water into late summer, which aspects the elk prefer during the heat, which saddles they use to travel between basins where the pressure isn't reaching them. That's terrain intelligence, and terrain intelligence transfers across all seasons. A bull feeding through a north-facing park in July is teaching you what that mountain provides: the feed, the water, the security, the daily patterns. That information doesn't expire when he moves in September. It just becomes the foundation for understanding the whole system, including where the cows will be when it matters. Find the bulls, study the country. The mountain is the lesson here. Summer bulls are the most readable version of elk you're ever going to encounter as well. Bachelor groups running together in velvet, feeding on a consistent schedule, using open terrain they'll completely abandon once the rut starts. Take full advantage of this window because it closes fast. What to record when you find a bachelor group includes which bulls are present, their body condition, the largest frame in the group, and specifically which direction they're moving when they leave their feeding area. That last detail matters more than a lot of hunters realize. When bulls leave a morning feed, they're moving towards security cover, and that cover, the dark timber, the steep north face, the bedding terrain, exists somewhere between the summer park and the lower elevation. Understanding that travel line is what connects July scouting to the August transition work. Glass hard in July. Photograph bulls. Note the terrain they use and the direction they use it. You're building a map that is going to mean something in 8 weeks. Now, sometime in the last week of August, the velvet is going to drop, it's getting rubbed off, and the bachelor group is going to dissolve. The calm, predictable social structure of summer disappears almost overnight. Bulls that have been living within a quarter mile of each other suddenly want nothing to do with one another. They begun to spar, posture, and move with a new kind of intent. This is the staging period, the bridge between summer range and full rut country. Bulls are dropping in elevation. They're moving out of the high alpine basins and into the more mid elevation dark timber. They're not yet in rut country, but they're transitioning towards it. The daily patterns you tracked all summer are starting to compress. Bulls are getting more nocturnal, more agitated, less visible. Watch for the shift when you're in the field or checking trail cameras because it's a real signal. When you see the bachelor group fragmenting and sparring increasing, the clock is running. September is about to become a completely different hunt. Hey, if you hunt public land elk and you're tired of grinding through random seasons, I built the Elk Hunting series of ebooks for you. Most hunters don't struggle because they lack effort. They struggle because they lack a system. And that's exactly why I built the Elk Hunting E-Book Series as a complete progressive framework for Western elk hunters who are done guessing and ready to hunt with intention. Volume 1 is going to be Foundations and Reality. I reset your mindset and expose the assumptions that quietly wreck seasons. In Volume 2, Finding Elk and Understanding Pressure, you'll learn how elk actually move under pressure so you can anticipate instead of react. In Volume 3, Terrain, Wind, and Position, I break down how to use landscape and thermals to consistently create opportunities. In Volume 4, Calling, Silence, and Pressure, sound becomes a decision tool, not an impulse. In Volume 5, Bow Hunting Execution, we're talking about close range strategy so you can finish your encounters. And in Volume 6, Late Season and Post Rut, we're talking about how elk shift after the rut and how to adapt when others quit. This is a system built for consistency. This isn't theory, it's a structured system to help you find elk, read country, and make confident decisions every season. Buy each volume individually or bundle them all to save 50% off at backboneunlimited.com. Here's the most important thing I can tell you about September elk hunting, and almost nobody talks about it plainly. Bulls are in completely different country in September because of cows. That's it. Full stop. A bull in the rut is not living somewhere because the terrain is good or the feed is right or the water's close. He's searching for cows. You should probably listen to that again. Everything about his September movement, the ground he covers, the country he moves through, the locations he keeps returning to, is driven entirely by where the cows are. He doesn't choose his September address, the cows do. This is the reframe that changes everything. You've been hunting bulls. The bulls are hunting cows. If you want to find a bull in September, stop thinking about where the bulls want to be and start thinking about where the cows are going to be. Those are not the same questions, and only one of them has the reliable answer you're looking for. Now, cows are creatures of habit in a way that rut bulls never are. Cow groups use the same drainages, the same meadows, the same water sources, the same general elevation bands, fall after fall. They're not searching for anything. They're going where they always go for generations, doing what they always do, and the bulls that want to breed them come to them. This is one of the most underused advantages in elk hunting. Cow country is mappable. It's learnable. If you've hunted a unit for more than one season, or if you can talk to anyone who has, you can identify the drainages and elevation bands that hold cows in the fall. That information is remarkably stable year after year unless something crazy changes it, like a wildfire or a new road or something of that nature. Now, compare that to trying to predict where a rutting bull is going to be. He might cover 5 miles in a day easily. His movement is reactive, not habitual. Chasing him is the hard game. Finding the cows and waiting is the smarter game. So, how do you find the cows? This is where the map work you've been doing all summer starts pulling double duty. On your satellite and topo layers, you're looking for mid elevation terrain that holds feed and water into September. Creek drainages, meadowed benches, north facing slopes with browse that stays green into fall. Cow groups are not in the high alpine basins where you found your bachelor bulls in July. They're usually lower in heavier cover with consistent access to water. That mid-elevation transition zone between summer range and winter range is where cow groups are going to concentrate in early September. Glass it hard. Cow groups are bigger and easier to spot than a single traveling bull. Once you find an active cow group, fresh tracks, fresh sign, elk in the basin in the morning, you're in the right country, so don't leave it. Set up downwind of where those cows are moving and let September do the rest of the work. Once you've found active cow country, your job changes. You're no longer searching, you're waiting, but waiting in a specific and more deliberate way. A bull in early September that finds cow country will work that area hard. He'll bugle to locate receptive cows or bring them to him. He'll respond to calling because he believes another bull is trying to cut in on his cows, or he's just trying to locate the cows if you're cow calling. He'll move through the same terrain the cows are using, morning and evening, working the thermals and checking every drainage. You don't have to necessarily go find him. Oftentimes, he's coming if you've found the cows. Set up on the downwind side of the active cow area. Use terrain to position yourself on natural travel routes between cow concentrations. In early September, before the rut hits full intensity, bulls are very responsive and still somewhat predictable in their movement. That window doesn't last long, but if you're in the right country, cow country, you'll be there when it opens up. That's the whole system. July teaches the mountain. August signals the shift. September, you find the cows. The hunter who spent July chasing pins on a bachelor group and the hunter who understood what that summer scouting was actually building are hunting completely different seasons in September. One is covering empty miles, the other is set up in cow country waiting on a bull who has no choice but to come through. Bulls in the rut aren't living somewhere because they chose it. They're living wherever the cows are. Find the cows, learn them early, locate them in July and August, early September if that's what you have to do because you're traveling, and let 34 years of elk behavior do the rest. That's what I'm trying to share with you. That's the system that actually works. Now, if this episode made you realize you need a better elk plan this season, don't just watch another video and hope it all comes together. Build your plan right now. If you want to study my full system on your own, start with my Elk Hunting series of ebooks. If you want daily guidance, accountability, and a place to ask questions as season gets closer, join me on Team Backbone. If you want my eyes on your actual hunt plan, your maps, access, terrain, pressure points, wind, thermals, and your strategy, book an elk hunt plan audit with me and I'll help you tighten it up before season. If the missing piece is your body, your legs, your lungs, or your ability to handle mountain miles and a heavy pack, check out my Backbone Unlimited training plans built from over 30 years of professional strength and conditioning coaching. And if nutrition is where you need more structure, getting leaner, fueling long days, or building a better in-season food plan, check out my nutrition plans built from the same 30 years of experience working with thousands of clients across many different spectrums of goals and many hunters preparing for the Western Mountains. The hunters who are ready in September are the ones who start tightening their plan right now. So go to backboneunlimited.com, choose the path that fits where you are, and I'll help you get started. Thanks for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you in the comments. You know I read and respond to everyone. Until next time, train harder, hunt smarter, and never settle.